Hello and welcome to the Bold Leadership Stories Show. I'm Jim Miller, and this is a show where we talk about experiences shaping exceptional lives. And today I have the honor of speaking with Mr. Sean Arnette. Sean lives in Temecula Valley, and he's been an Inland Empire resident for a long time. You were
Yeah,
born here, right?
I was. Yeah, I was born in Pomona technically, but I lived and grew up in Yucaipa and have lived all over. Yeah.
Okay. So that's pretty unique. I thought I was a native. I was born in New Jersey. We moved here to California when I was 5. So uh,
Okay.
back then that was pretty much, how things were. But it's good to see people that were born here and live here. They're pretty much their whole lives. And you've
Yeah,
done
there's
a
not a whole
lot.
lot of us. Yeah.
You've done a lot. You've got a couple of kids.
Yep. Yep. Paige and Garrett. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what are they up to these days?
Oh boy, lots. So my son Garrett, he's 20 and he's the artist of the family. So he's a musician right now. Like that's
Okay. What instrument does he play?
whatever he feels like learning next, but mainly the
Okay.
guitar. So he plays the acoustic guitar and the electric guitar, the bass, the drums, the keyboard. He's a songwriter more than he wants to be a performer. So
Okay.
he spends a lot of time locked in a cave and going to school for that at RCC. And then my daughter Paige, she's 23. And she is the personal assistant to the CEO of an AI company down in Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah, she is a master of getting jobs that are pretty amazing. So
Yeah, really cool. I worked in the tech field for a long time. Boy, that moves quick.
yeah, it
Um,
does.
I was in hardware actually with some high tech companies like Apple and Hewlett Packard, with those the turnaround on the products is like every 6 months they have to come up with something new. So you're
Yeah.
always looking for something. And AI, I imagine, is even faster.
Yeah, I would think so. It's always learning, it's always changing, and I think the implications for it are going to be massive. It starts out where it's helping you write an email, but who knows where it's going in another year? It's
Right.
outstanding. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I remember when the internet first came out, it's like, well, if you don't have a website, you're going to be left in the dust. Yeah, that pretty much happened. And
Yeah, it
and
did.
now the AI's the same thing, but it's happening so fast.
Yeah, and just the lack of controls is interesting to me. I think everybody just in technology, I think we love to do things that we can do, but
Uh-huh.
this one's the first one where I'm kind of like thinking, is that the right way to go though? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of scary movies, so we'll see.
Right. Yeah, me too. It's an interesting time we live in.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, this project that you're working on now, the Temecula City Lifestyle Magazine,
Yeah.
that's pretty exciting. How'd that come about?
Oh boy, that's a long, long story. I think this is career number 5 for me now. I've just been found myself in a lot of interesting places in life. I was working for a large corporation. I was working for LPL Financial down in La Jolla. Did some great work for them on their Salesforce.com implementation, redesigned that, built that out for them, and then the typical kind of corporate story, got restructured, found myself on the outside again,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
really for the first time in my life was encouraged to take a look at what I want to do. I always just kind of did what I needed to do. I think that's why my career has gone all over the place. At different times, I'm pretty adaptable, and when you've got a family and a mortgage and all that stuff, you do what you need to do sometimes. So the first time ever I sat and really thought, I would like to own my own business. I would like to have, the decisions that I make affect me and my family only. And so I looked for an opportunity that would really give us the ability to affect the community that we live in and not
Mhm.
just make money off of it. That was kind of the idea. And so this is a luxury lifestyle magazine that's completely local to Temecula. It's an interesting concept and
What's
it's
your
proven.
vision for it? What do you see happening? How is it going to impact the community?
Yeah, well, we become over time, we've been able to talk to publishers from other cities, and you really do become the good news of the community. We deliver directly into homes, so nobody has to buy it. And
So is it
really,
online or is it you actually Is it hard copy? You're printing
Yeah,
this?
it's a hard copy. Yeah, it's an actual
Wow.
print publication and digital. We have an online presence as well.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's an actual digital magazine. There's magazines like it. There's 180 cities that have a city lifestyle magazine, and there's others. This week I just saw Palm Springs Living, which is very similar. And
Okay.
what you end up getting is all the best companies from the city and around want
Hmm.
to advertise in there. And then we write beautiful editorial with pictures and all that. And there's something to that print magazine that really works with people that are, of a certain age, and of a certain socioeconomic background, take a little more time to make a decision, a purchasing decision, and it works really well. It's great marketing.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned a bit in your bio that you're a reluctant leader.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. What does that mean?
For me, I've never sought that. I've never wanted to be the leader. I just always kind of have, I guess the first time it happened was probably my freshman year of football. The football teams always vote on who the captains are going to be. I was selected then. I was selected every year after that for every team I ever played for. I worked in and around churches for a long time and just kept getting more responsibility. Every job I've ever gone to, there seems like there's always a day when there's a big question at the table when we're all sitting around, and it seems like everybody's head tends to turn toward me. And, I think a little differently. I tend to think outside the box. I tend to be a little bit more curious than I am scared of change. And that tends to put people at ease. And then your voice doesn't have to be loud to be heard.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, leadership has always been thrust upon me. And I've never turned from it. I've just never sought it. That's kind of what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to you're just getting started. When's your first publication go out?
Yeah, the first publications will hit homes and local businesses in March. So right around March 5th, we'll have our first 6,500 copies go out. And
Okay.
yeah, we're very excited. We're still
I'm gonna
wrapping up the
pull up
log.
your Facebook page here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's us. Mhm.
So you've got who's your first? You got an upcoming issue. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so our
Just a little
first issue.
sneak peek.
Yeah, our first issue will come out in March. And really that first issue for us is going to be all about Temecula. We've worked with a local photographer here in town, and we've got some beautiful cover art that's coming in. Luckily, our national team will help us a little bit on that first issue, just because we'll be running if I had hair, it would be on fire that last few days. So
Yeah.
we'll have We'll have content that's all local, but it'll be mostly about the city of Temecula and probably one or two features on one of our advertising partners. That's really what the magazine is made up of. Each month we have a theme. So, for example, January is health and wellness. May is a big one we're pushing for right now. Our May issue is all about women. So we'll feature several women in business from Temecula, and we'll have our writers go out and write some really good editorial about them and tell their story. So we're getting ready for the next whole year of issues beyond just that first one.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I love stories.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, it's fantastic. Uh, so Sean, what was it that prepared you? You've been, sounds like pretty much an employee.
Mhm.
This is your first venture into entrepreneurship.
In a way, yeah. So my first big boy job, I guess, really is I was a sales rep for I actually sold wildlife sculpture of all things. And that
Okay.
was one of my best friends from high school. We're still very close. His father was the main sculptor and owned the business, and they needed a salesperson for the state of California. And taking that over, starting that. I actually was my own boss. I could take other lines on, and I did from time to time. It was a rude awakening, starting your first business. I still remember the first year we saved, I think it was like almost exactly $6,000, and we were so happy. And then I went to do our taxes and realized I didn't, you have to pay these things called quarterlies, and ended up being exactly $6,000. So that all that savings was gone.
Right.
But yeah, I've learned that, and I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, which is probably why I avoided it for this amount of time. I'd seen my dad; he's owned many businesses. And really my whole life, he's been an entrepreneur and he's made a great living for our family.
Hmm.
It just was something I kind of, I guess I assumed that there was security when you work for a large corporation. I found out really early that that's not the case. It's
Mm.
just it's kind of a facade or history. I think it's just what it used to be, and we still think it's there, but it's not. So
Yeah, I
this
agree.
propelled me in forward to this.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's when you think that it's something that it isn't, then you get in trouble.
Yeah. It's my first real corporate job was with Kimberly Clark Professional. So like Kleenex, Cottonelle, all those huge, it's one of the largest or the largest paper manufacturer in the world.
Right.
And I took a role there. I think I tried to get that job for 4 years at different times. I would apply and they had, a hiring freeze here and a this there and, all these things. I went through four different um, interview processes to get it. Finally got there. I think I'd been there 3 months when they did their first corporate restructuring and 10% of the workforce was gone. And so every year you're crossing your fingers, hoping you're not one of, and it's sad, you're actually you don't mean to, but you're hoping it's someone else and they might be your friend.
Right.
But you just want to make it through. And it was not something I enjoyed. I'll put it that way. I didn't like every year feeling like my job was on the block.
Yeah, I imagine your philosophy, you say in here, no one has to lose for us all to win.
Yeah.
What's the genesis of that thought, that philosophy for you?
Yeah. I think it probably comes from, started with my team sports background. I played football all the way through college. And it's a highly competitive world when you get
Yeah, I
into the
played I played
level.
high school ball, high school
Yeah.
football. It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing. When I moved to college, it becomes a lot less fun. It becomes a lot more work and a lot more competition. And then moving up through business and especially starting this business, um, we really saw that some people view the world as, they need to, if they win, it's through other people being pushed down or pushed out or kept
Mm.
away. And we really felt that although our magazine, it won't be for everybody. Some businesses don't really fit that luxury model, but it doesn't mean that we can't support them. It doesn't mean that we can't help them along the way. And even some of, we have competitors in Temecula that have other magazines and we're different and they're different. It doesn't mean that they can't be here. They need to be gone for us to win or vice versa. We actually partner with them and try to refer each other and help each other.
Sure. Yeah, it's to me it's sort of like there's a market there, and it's like one of the first times I noticed this phenomenon is car dealerships.
Mm,
They all tend to be in the same place. It's like, well,
right.
why? They're all competitors. Well, what
Yeah.
happens is the customer comes in and they're looking for a car and they're going to buy from somebody.
Right.
So you make it easy for them to make a selection and you just try to be the best one
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
and fill their needs the best way. But
Yeah. Live
it's
on your own merits, right? Not by
yeah,
putting, just show like I've got this car, they've got that car, you pick. Yeah. No, I like that.
yeah. It's a great business model.
Yeah.
And you've got the same kind of thing going on here. It's like you've got this vibration going on, building up the city and highlighting. And there's so many great companies and great people to talk about that even if you had 100 competitors, you couldn't hit them all.
Couldn't. There's no way. One of the big things, when we talk to people about joining the magazine and partnering with us, we talk about editorial all the time. And it's in the part of my job that I love the most now is sitting down with somebody and asking them, why do you do what you do? What got you started? It's just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
So many people, it takes so long for them to tell me that thing that is so unique that all of a sudden in my mind, I'm like, oh, cool. I know it. This is our July issue. We're going to do this, because it all immediately forms. But sometimes it's an hour-long conversation before they drop this thing that they think is normal. Maybe they think everybody does it, but it's really unique and interesting, and people would love to read about it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's what I see too. It's like, and for me, and I'm sure you too, is like, well, this is everybody experiences this, but
Right.
it's really not the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the stories that you have that you think, are normal or not that big a deal
Mhm.
could be really impactful for
Yeah.
the right person at the right time.
100%. And in my past, I made, my job was to tell stories. I was a pastor for a long time, and
Sure.
you get up on a Sunday morning and I'm telling stories. I'm talking about stories, but I realized back then, story has been what has shaped our experience through history. You never learn something by being told, right? You either learn by, you reached for the fire and you realize it's hot because you burnt your hand, or someone tells you a story about someone who did that and now it clicks. But don't touch the fire never worked. It just doesn't. There's
Right.
got to be something.
Yeah. So what is it that intrigues you or that you love about stories and telling them?
I think it's that light bulb moment. That's always been the most important thing to me, because when I read a book or I hear a great story, it becomes a part of me, right? And I'm able to bring that into me and to my experience and learn from it and grow from it. And then when I'm telling a story, to see that person I'm talking to see their eyeballs shift or see the gears start to turn in their head, and it makes sense to them. And it's the only way I've ever known to communicate to people where I have that ability, because like I said, if I just tell them what to think, what to do, why would they, who am I? But a
Mm.
story, it touches us all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I think a really unique way. It's, it's, it's this wonderful learning curve that as I tell more stories, I like to think I'm getting better at it. But
Yeah.
I think the best stories have, the sales process. I'm a sales guy. So it's
Yeah.
like and you want to have a wow moment in there
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
there's an emotion and there's logic both. And there's
Mhm.
like this aha, and, it's
Yeah.
like this crescendo and maybe a lesson in there, or
Yeah.
something to go back and think about more.
Yeah. Yeah. And even, even when I was at Kimberly Clark, their sales book that they really loved at the time, at least, was the Challenger sale. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever read
Oh
it.
yeah, for sure.
I read it. It was really funny. When I read it, I was reading it, preparing for an interview, and I was reading, I'm like, everybody knows this. Of course, that's how
Well,
of course,
yeah,
you
me too. I was
challenge
like, well, I
people,
sell
but
this way. What's the big deal? I could have written this book,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. But there's
But
very few people. I've trained salespeople now for years, and there's very few folks that in the middle of a conversation, number one, can listen enough to the other person to like form an idea,
mhm.
but so few that in the moment can say, I hear what you're saying. Have you ever thought of it differently? Let me tell you a story. And
Mm,
now you can take the person's thought, wrap it into a story that will reshape it, teach them something, challenge them to think a different way, and now, continue the conversation. That's something I think it'd be very hard to learn. It sometimes, though, it's just the way some people think.
yeah, I think so. I think you could learn it, but
Yeah.
that's what's, to me, that's what's fun is getting somebody to think a different way or experience something that they haven't experienced before through the story.
Yeah.
That's the magic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the joy of life too, right? I mean, who wants to sit around and not be challenged, not think differently, and just
Yeah.
go through life? That would be pretty boring.
But and two, it's like we tend to get a lot of our input now from, our electronics,
Yeah.
but having somebody in your life face to face, even this way,
Yeah.
is really good because it's human to human,
Yeah.
and there's so much more energy that's passed
Right.
and
Yeah.
available.
So much. I mean, just that the ideas that build on each other when two people can sit down and talk and, be presented with a problem or a thought, a challenge in life. And yeah, you're right. I mean, you can Google a lot of things, but there's something really neat when two humans are talking about how to do something differently. It really does bring a lot more energy, I think. It's a great way.
Yes. So where do you see Temecula going in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Boy, I've been driving through here as a salesperson since I think 1997.
Hmm.
I had two accounts in Temecula at the time, and so I would drive to Inez Road and see Pat at Unique Gifts, no mall at the time. Then I would drive out Inez all the way out to the Big Horse store that's way out there. Back then, there
Oh
was nothing
yeah.
for
Okay.
miles. I'd pass these ranch style homes, a few, and then you'd get over onto Temecula Parkway, and there's nothing. And then there's this red building out in the middle of nowhere. And now, just to see how neighborhoods go for miles past the Big Horse to this huge mall, resorts coming into town, all the wineries. I really see Temecula as becoming the go-to spot in the Inland Empire. It's a lot closer and cooler than Palm Springs. We have the restaurants, we have wineries, we have great local business infrastructure, and we have beautiful housing. So I think the sky's the limit to Temecula. It's one of the reasons, we could have just left and gone and taken another job, but my girlfriend and I, we were talking about what to do next. The biggest thing for us was I don't want to leave Temecula, and she didn't want to leave Temecula. We wanted this to be our base
Mm.
because where else can you where else can you feel like you live in a small town that you can also drive 10 minutes and you feel like you're on vacation right in the middle of the day. You're sitting out in this beautiful winery. That's not something most people in Southern California have the option for. So
Right? Oh, I
yeah,
love that.
I
Yeah.
just see more growth, and I really do appreciate that our city has they've got a plan. They've got a way that they want it to grow, and the traffic is a little nuts and the all that kind of stuff, but there's nowhere in Southern California that's like this. Nowhere.
Yeah, I see that too. The wineries, all the there's a really great golf here. There's
Yep.
there's the equestrian, the horses.
Yep.
And then one of the things I love is the uh, like the breweries. We've got a bunch of really cool breweries that, microbreweries that are popping up, making some
Yeah.
amazing stuff,
Yeah.
like Garage Brewing and 8-Bit and all those guys.
Yep.
It's like really cool. And then
Yeah.
single malt. Do you drink at all?
I do. I drink
Vibe?
wine. I drink wine and I drink whiskey. That's the main thing. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
My kind
generally.
of
So
guy.
like,
I
yeah, I'll go
drink.
with like, a nice bourbon or, something like that, or a red wine.
Okay. You ever
Yeah,
do
that's
single
my jam.
malt?
I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. That's my favorite. I'm on a single malt jag
Okay.
right now and I'm trying
Yeah.
different ones and it's a blast.
Yeah. Yeah. Temecula is but when I moved I lived here about a year and a half before we started the magazine. I tell people all the time, I knew two people. Well, I'll say two people knew me. I didn't even know one of these. So I knew Desiree, my girlfriend, and I knew one guy at the grocery store, and he just would call me Mr. Arnette because he took my card all the time. That was it. I was driving to La Jolla for work. I was driving to the gym with my headphones in, working out. I was going to the grocery store to buy food, and then I'd do it again the next day. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. Um, we started this business. I think I've probably met 300 or 400 business owners. I just walk in, hi, how you doing? What's your business about? Tell me what you're
That's
doing.
your sales experience. I got all my big
Yeah.
accounts doing cold calls.
Yeah.
It's
I,
great.
I haven't picked up the phone and dialed in probably 3 months
Yeah,
because
you
I
just
really
walk in,
walk
say hi.
in. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah.
And so
I love that.
uh that time we have the most unique things in town. Like all the wineries are different. They're all unique. They have a different feel, a different look. They're all wineries, but you can go to Oak Mountain where there's this big cave and a distillery right there, or you can go to Europa,
Yes.
just this beautiful opportunity to taste all these different wines and then little ones like Dofo, where it's just such great wine that, it's amazing. And then you start looking at the businesses that would be in most any other city, but it's unique here. The ownership, the people, they make it different, because it's Temecula. It's our city, and it's that they fit that. It's really neat.
Yeah, they're listening and it's like pretty much an hour to go anywhere else,
Yeah,
So we're
yeah,
kind of stuck in this little island, the
yeah,
bubble. We used to call it the
yeah,
bubble, but
yeah,
it really lends itself well to, and it's big enough where you can do some really, really interesting things and make,
yeah,
decent living at it.
yeah. I agree.
So very cool. So what is it that you see for yourself in terms of, um, leadership growth? What's your biggest challenge now to get your your magazine to a place where you want to be in say 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing is right now I'm selling air. So that's hard, right? I'm going around and just telling people to trust us, which has been a good challenge because it slows you down. When I tell people from time to time, I've sold for I worked in the IT field for a while, like an IT consulting firm.
Hmm.
And we would compete against IBM and Accenture and the others, but we had no name. And so just getting the meeting, just to get a seat at the table was hard. And there was also this kind of CYA default where if you choose IBM and they mess it up, it's not your fault. But if you choose if you're the executive that
Right.
chooses a small company and they don't do it right, your ass is out right along with them.
Yeah.
So
It was the old saying, nobody ever got fired for
yeah,
hiring IBM, right?
that's right. You just can't. And so then my next role was selling Kimberly Clark. And so now I'm Kleenex, I'm Cottonelle, I'm Huggies, I'm the brand where you can afford it or not, but you all want it. Like totally different perspective on leadership and on sales. And then now we've kind of come full circle where I'm out there every day and I'm having to build a real relationship with people because
Mm,
people are not going to pay for a magazine just because it's a magazine. They're going to
yeah.
pay for it because they trust the person who's publishing it.
Yeah,
And
they're buying you.
yeah, 100%. And it's taken, Temecula is a close-knit town, and it takes a while for that trust level to grow to a critical mass where now you can go talk to people and go, you know who I am, you know what we do, what are your goals? And then trying to really get a concise understanding for their goals and how that could be achieved.
Hmm.
And that's where I think all of my experience comes in to really help, right? Because I've been at giant companies, worked for large corporations, and then I've also been the small guy on the block too, just really
Hmm.
trying super hard. And it gives me the ability to have a little different perspective, to come up with a different plan. But we come alongside our partners however they need us to do it, because we want to make sure that, to your question, 5 years from now, my
Hmm.
goal is to make sure everybody here is like, no matter what, we can't lose Temecula City lifestyle. That's like our business key, marketing strategy. That would be my goal. Because we want to be a part of the community that people are really happy that we're here.
Great. What do you see as like the top things that people want to have there? Why do they want to have what you have?
From the magazine, you mean?
Yeah.
I think that most people I think in the same, just like we're talking about, that people buy from who they know and trust, right? We've all heard that a million times in
Sure.
sales. And what I'm offering people is an opportunity to once or twice a year tell your real story to the whole city. When we write our editorials, we write them about these business owners, and we're not, if say it's a financial planner, we're not saying that he's going to make you 3% more over the next 10 years. That's not going to sell anybody.
So it's not an ROI value proposition necessarily.
No, what we're doing is we're going and we're telling that human story behind it. Why is that person doing financial planning? What do they do that's different? How do they care about you differently? Or any number of other things that is the human side. I'm a
Mhm.
part of a large networking group here in the city. And, one of the things that we push is, you got to do a one-to-one meeting with everybody so you can understand their business, so that you understand the person. And then the idea is you refer them. Well, as soon as you get to know somebody, you automatically start looking for, you just start seeing, let's say, even without looking, you start seeing opportunities for their business. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the same thing that we do. We can write a story about somebody that has been in the community for a long time, but why are they doing what they do? What makes them different? What value do they bring to your family, beyond just the business that they do?
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen in city after city over 15 years that this changes people's businesses. Yeah, we have a mother-daughter team that is in our Boulder, Colorado magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
they doubled their revenue the first year they were in the magazine, and then more than doubled on top of that the second year. And it's largely due to a beautiful ad, but really it's the editorial. It's telling the mom-daughter story of why they're in the business and why they care so much and how they're going to treat your home. That they found it, something they couldn't do without it now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm finding that with this project, Bold
Hmm.
Leadership Stories. It's a similar revelation for me is I just started doing it because I thought it would be fun, but it's
Yeah,
actually evolving into a really cool way for people to use the content in a way that you don't get anywhere else. I mean, where
right.
else? I mean, now there is with your
In a nice
magazine.
print publication, you can,
Yeah.
but
I mean, what you got is even better than this because it's like delivered to their door and
right.
or you walk into an office and it's sitting there pretty on the table and you pick it up and you have a few minutes and you can get a flavor for someone in the community that you might meet in person.
Yeah.
That's the other cool thing is
Mhm.
it's media, but because you're in this little, relatively small space,
Yeah.
in Temecula Valley, there's a really good chance that you're going to see them and remember the article or the
Yeah.
video you watched of their story, and you'll want to walk up to them and say hello.
Yeah, yeah, that's you're describing it exactly. That's the whole model. And then we wrap it up in such a beautiful publication, with
Hmm.
gorgeous photography, no staples, matte and the idea is you're gonna live on. Most of our,
Yeah.
we survey readers every single year all across the country. Most of these people keep these magazines for up to 3, 4 months. They keep them on the coffee table and they're using it. And yeah, these businesses, where else but in a podcast? You know how long it would take me to tell all these stories on Instagram?
It
A
doesn't
minute
get
and a half
done.
of that. Yeah, it
It
just
doesn't
doesn't
get
work.
done. Yeah.
No.
So, well, excellent. I have one more question,
Yeah.
and I asked this to everybody on the show. Um, of all of in your whole lifetime,
Yeah.
what was the boldest leadership decision that you've made, and what were the consequences?
Oh, wow. Let's see. Um, it probably would have been it was actually refusing an opportunity to lead,
Okay.
selecting a different one. So I was working in a church at the time. I was a pastor. The senior pastor had left. He had gone elsewhere. He gave his 2 weeks and left. And so I had taken on a lot of those responsibilities, and that group of people asked me to lead. They asked me to be the senior pastor, and there was something that I knew that they wouldn't like my leadership. That I knew
Why
they
is
would, they
that?
were
What
right.
was it? What did you think they wouldn't like?
I told them point blank, they asked me, I said, you guys will fire me within 6 months because I think differently and I'm not going to lead you in the same direction you're going. Why, you don't need that. You can do anything to go the same direction. If you want to go a different direction, that's when you need a leader, right? You need someone who's either been there before or is not afraid to go and be the first one down the path.
Hmm.
Um, and so as a result of that, I did get an opportunity to lead a different church. We moved to Riverside and we were there for like 7 or 8 years.
Well,
And we went from a group of 40 people that were ready to be led. They really did want to go in new places. And
hmm
uh, the result of that was lifelong change in certain, in the folks that really wanted to do that.
Beautiful. What
And
was
it,
it that changed? What were you able to accomplish there?
we were able to look at church in a very different way, to
Okay.
look at what is the reason. And it's the same philosophy, I guess, that I have with the magazine. I told people right then when I started, I said, if we ever leave, if this group of people is ever not in our city, it was Riverside, then the city should be sad. They should notice if we were to disappear. And that couldn't be said for some churches other than the folks who attend it. But we were able to be very active in the community with foster care kids. We
Mm.
had a lot of our folks that were volunteering at homeless kitchens to like feed on a regular basis, not just Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, but like a Wednesday in March, you just go down and you make food, you talk to the people. We actually
Yeah,
got to,
I did that down in San Diego at the mission, a
yeah,
homeless shelter, and we'd go down and feed the homeless and pray with them. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah,
That's
it changes
so
your
powerful.
perspective because
Just
you realize they're just
tears,
people. Yeah,
just crazy.
yeah. But
Beautiful moments.
yeah, it changes you.
Yeah.
You go
Yeah.
because you're
Oh,
wanting
big
to
time.
help people, but it
I was
doesn't.
changed more than
Yeah,
anything.
they got the same meal they were going to get either way, but you
Right.
come out of it going, "Oh my God, I've never seen it this way. I've never thought about this in that."
Yes.
And we got to the point where right before we weren't there anymore, we had a public high school having their dance in our sanctuary because we were so into the community that they were great. They were fine bringing those kids in. We were doing weddings and, not from the church, but we were a wedding venue. We had a website specifically for that. We were inviting people in. And
Beautiful.
the church had a bunch of financial issues that popped up. So it was another one of those days I showed up and actually it was December 15th. I still remember there was just no more money. All the money had been sucked out of the account. So we were going to be gone and the community, I still have people today that reach out saying, I wish you guys were still here. And
Mm.
that means the world to me. That it means people noticed and we did something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being on the show today,
Yeah.
Sean.
No, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's gone really quick. So we'll get together again. I'll see you around town, and
That sounds good.
that's awesome.
All right. Thanks a lot.